Up here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our weekly support call for the Genius Insight app. This is Dr. Ariel Policano in Portland, Oregon, where it's been snowy, and I got snowed in for the better part of 3 days. So I'm really glad that the snow is melting, and I'm out and about and back now to do our weekly support call. This is an opportunity for you to ask your questions about the Genius Insight app, anything that you want to know. It's not a substitute for training. We do have a separate training program now that some of you were able to get during our Black Friday and Cyber Monday class. The retail price for that is $4.97, and I will be having some additional specials on that. So look for that in the upcoming newsletter. But as an adjunct to our training program, coming here and asking questions can clarify information, and also it can really help when you're looking for new ideas, new research. I'm really, always working to find new functions, things you can do with the Genius, and explaining how to use them. So I love your questions. Now, to inspire you to be here for the next couple of weeks, and I know it's a busy time, and I really value and appreciate your time, I'm going to be doing some of my very own raffle giveaways. Today, I'm going to be raffling off 3 of my educational programs. One that centers around pain reduction and biofeedback, and it comes with special customized libraries. One that centers around cancer care and prevention and comes with customized libraries and classes, lectures. And one that centers around hormonal balancing, digestion, and thyroid health and comes with custom libraries. So we will be raffling that off. And what I'll do is for next week, you'll need to send me your question in advance. So if you have a question, you want to ask it after today's webinar, you can email it to me, ariel@awakentotalhealth.com. So ariel@awakentotalhealth.com. Oh, Surya says the sound is low. Is it better now? I might have started off a little lower. You guys, is anybody having a sound issue? So now it's better now. Okay. So I'm going to need to speak up a little bit. I might be a little low energy after being snowed in. Okay. So there we go. My email. And now today, if you want to ask a question during class, you will be entered. So if you want to win, come up with a question that is a question about using the Genius Insight app. I also have received questions from a number of people today, and so let me find that list, and I really do thank the people who have already sent me questions. Don, Karen, Gabrielle, David, Sharon, B, Elise, Betty Lou, and me, Bellin. I'm so sorry I don't know your first name, and if I'm saying it right. They have all sent us questions in advance, and they will all be entered into the raffle. So if you have a question, you still want to get into the raffle, make sure you ask your question today, and then next week you'll have to send it in advance. So you'll win one of those prizes. If you've already taken all of my classes and all of my certifications, let me know if you win, and we'll try to find something new and different for you. All right, so let me start with the very first question that I received today, and let me just go down here. Thanks, you guys, for your questions, and I just really value you being here during the holidays. Beata, I'm so glad you're joining us from Florida today, and Eli, thanks for being here. Fran, it's always a delight. I bet you're in South Carolina today, or let me know where you are. So great to have all of you joining me so close to the holidays, and I hope you have some special plans for the holidays. And oh, Rick, I did get your question. Dr. Picard, welcome, a new user of the Genius Insight. You are definitely entered, and I did get your question as well. So let's start off with Dr. Picard's question. Really great question here. When treating a patient who has an infection like Lyme, can you over-treat with the frequencies? That is, would you or could you expect to get a Herxheimer reaction from using the Genius as compared to an oral remedy, such as olive leaf extract, an amazing remedy, by the way, olive leaf, Lauricidin or other oral antimicrobials, for example? Great question. Now, generally, with biofeedback, with herbal medicine, with energy medicine, we don't really see the same type of Herxheimer that we do, or any Herxheimer that we do with regular supplements or, of course, pharmaceutical medications. Typically with energy medicine, with biofeedback, with frequency, the body takes what it likes and leaves the rest. It doesn't really get overtreated. The way to just simply avoid overtreating is to remember less is more, especially the very first time that you're doing a treatment session with someone. So go slowly their first time, Dr. Picard, and go ahead and just give them maybe 9 or 12 minutes of frequency balancing and see how they do. It is sort of about maybe 2% of people who use the Genius Insight app the first time will tell me that they got a headache. Very, very few people. I'd say like not even 2 per 100, but maybe 2 per 1,000. And I sometimes wonder what's going on there. It's very, very rare. But the best way that you can avoid that is to do, maybe start with 6 minutes the very first time that they come in. But we rarely see a Herxheimer reaction. The frequencies are so gentle. They're benign. They're non-toxic. They don't have side effects. So we really don't experience frequency and energy medicine in this same way. But that is a very, very good question. Again, to repeat the question for anybody who didn't get that, Dr. Picard was asking about a Herxheimer reaction. Could people get a detox reaction? And we really have to start to remember that energy medicine is the new medicine. It's the new, really solution for a lot of things that we need. And as such, it's amazing because it doesn't have these side effects, and it's not the same as using a physical remedy. Last week I mentioned that when I learned from Dr. Allen, who is the head of True North, the fasting facility, he basically told all the naturopathic doctors, be careful when you use herbs, because even herbs can cause a suppression in the body. They can have negative side effects. And that was really, really an eye-opener for me. I didn't really quite understand that initially. I thought herbs were totally benign, but herbs can have different reactions, and they can have side effects, and people can have Herxheimer reactions as they're killing off the bug. But we typically just don't see that type of a reaction in energy medicine. But that's not to say it couldn't happen, so the best thing is to go slow in the beginning and observe and see how people are beginning to deal with the frequencies. So really, really excellent question. Thank you so much, and continue. You can ask more questions. So thanks. We've got some really good questions coming in here too. David is next. I'm going to go in the order that the questions were asked today, and we got some really wonderful. This is David G, and thank you because it's late. I believe you're joining us from France, or maybe correct me, or if you're joining us from Quebec, I'm not really sure. But it's very late there if you're joining us from Europe. Okay, so a question here from David. How often do you propose sessions for optimal balancing? This is really different for every person, so let's really talk about this, you guys. The question is, how often should a client have a session? So here is one proposal. The way that I've worked with people that has really been pretty good. 2 sessions the first week, 2 sessions the second week, depending on how they're doing, 2 sessions the third week, and then 1 session per week for several weeks after that. The reason for that is that it builds a momentum, and people tend to need more treatment in the beginning, less treatment as they get better. But in the beginning, the repetition is really, really powerful. So we want to do a session, then we want them to come back as soon as possible for another session. It takes about 72 hours for them to completely assimilate the frequencies. So within about a business week, that really only amounts to about twice per week. You could try to fit in a third session if you wanted. So let me say it again, David. If you're basically devising sort of a series of treatments or a strategy, 2 the first week, 2 the second week, 2 possibly the third week, and then something like 6 to 8 treatments after that, but once per week, unless you find that the momentum and the progress that you're making is so good, but really no more than twice per business week. Now that said, you may be the kind of person, maybe you want to give an intensive where you want them to come in every day for 5 days for some reason. Maybe they have stage 4 cancer. And so for that, with that in mind, the repetition is very important because it builds a momentum. Welcome everybody who's coming and joining us. Today we're going to have a raffle at the end. So if you ask a question today in the question box, you will be entered into the raffle. And I'm going through questions that have been asked already by people who sent me questions early. And I do recommend that for next week. If you want to send me your question before the start of class next week, you'll get first priority in asking a question and you'll be entered. So for our raffle, we're going to give away some educational programs today. Elise has sent me a question. Elise, I don't know if you're on here live with us today. You sure are. Okay, welcome. Good to have you. And Elise says, my question for today is, what would be the best Genius Insight panels for reducing pain and helping to heal a fractured bone on the top of the foot? Okay. I don't want to give away too much, but she says that the Genius frequencies that I ran for her and during the time that we did a session worked. I definitely received the energy and have let the light continuously uplift me. Oh, very, very sweet. That's on a different issue, but I really, really appreciate that, Elise, and it's really good to hear from people that the frequencies are working and being received. So for that question, let's go back to this. What is the best Genius Insight panels? I'm actually giving away pain reduction panels. We do have some custom libraries for pain and how to heal a fracture. So I'd have to really dive into some of these and remind myself because we've added so many panels. So you could go into body systems, certainly, and you could include things within the body systems here. So that would be I think it would be the skeletal system would be a pretty good one, right? And you could also do meridians. Some of the meridians related to bone would be things like kidney. We don't want to go all the way back here. So you could do those. And then I do have these specific pain ones. Let's go to libraries here. And let's go ahead and add them to a client. So this really needs an alpha scroll here. Let's go down to pain. Let's see what we've got here. So pain, those are pretty good. Running the solfeggio frequencies would be really good. Running sacred geometry would be good. Here's a good one. Running the sacred geometry of the Fibonacci sequence would be good because the Fibonacci sequence is all about organic growth. So that would be really, really helpful. Let's see if we were successful here. So try that one. Let's see, what else? Maybe the toroidal field would be good for bones. You could also do the herbs. There's lots of herbs in there that would probably be very, very good for bones. And we've got some really cool pain panels here. Let's go ahead and look at pain resolution. And look at this one. So that's interesting. Nerve balance. There's your foot pain right there, reducing your foot pain, reducing joint pain, working on the brain perception of signals. And we've got pain solutions. So these are all things that you can use for pain. So Kella, clary sage, this is an aspect of the endorphin or neurotransmitters, the dynorphin A. Ginger, dynorphin B, these can help to reduce the perception of pain. I won't go into all of these now, but these would be good to run. So those custom libraries are helpful. But anything that could be to foster normal growth or herbs that would be good. You could also scan, at least for nutrition, right? Because your calcium, magnesium, boron, Those would all be good. Strontium was added by Ryan, which is really good for bone growth. So those would all be really, really helpful. Okay, let's go to the next question here. And I got this question from is it ML or MI? I apologize, Bellin. Bellin, this is from you. Is there a way to possibly alternate in such a way that we do not anticipate? So the question again was, is there a way to possibly alternate in such a way that we do not anticipate? And I have to say, it didn't quite, I think the language might have been a barrier there. So I wanted to point out a couple of things that when you say alternate in a way that we don't anticipate, remember that you can put your settings, if we go to frequency, shape, and form, over here to alternating. And that will kind of cycle through sine, square, and sawtooth so that it will be difficult to anticipate whether you're going to get the sine wave, the square wave, or the sawtooth wave. So I'm not totally sure if that's what you were asking about the balancing. I think I'm probably going to need some clarification on that particular question. Okay, Sharon, let's get to your question, Sharon B. Can we use the genius to treat individuals that are hard of hearing and, I'm thinking, and or cannot speak? Without a doubt. Frequency goes so far beyond. I mean, it's all about the spirit, the energy. As long as the spirit, the soul, you can treat anybody. I mean, that's what makes this so amazing. So they do not have to, if they cannot hear or they cannot speak. I mean, you could skip the voice, all right, and you could just do a picture. You could skip the picture. And you could use name and date of birth. I mean, it's better if you have these pieces of information, but I've still seen results be very, very much in line with what's going on with the person. Can we use the genius to treat individuals that are hard of hearing, cannot speak? Absolutely. What about children under the age of 2 and 3 years of age? These are absolutely the best people to treat, Sharon, without a doubt. Animals and children are so receptive to energy medicine. Today I had a situation where a client had a 2-letter last name and the genius would not let me enter the client. Whoa, that's interesting. Well, that should never have happened. So let's, not sure. Let's just see. Let's just do row and row. This is just sort of random. And then just any date of birth, done. And male, that's fine. And let's just do next. Okay, it let me enter it, Sharon. So that wasn't a problem for me. So I was able to enter the client with just a 2-letter last name. That should not be any type of a limitation. That was an input error on your part, and sometimes these things happen, so please go back and try again. Okay, so that person was entered totally successfully. There was no problem with that. But as far as 2 and 3 years of age, is using a photo, yes, absolutely. And if you have a baby, any sound that you can get out of a baby, the baby crying, the baby making, all types of baby noises, that's totally fine. That is the sound that the baby makes, and that can be recorded and used as the vibrational stance that we do our comparison from. So totally fine. Gabrielle, thank you so much for your question. You might be listening on the recording. Since you're over in the UK. You're here. Oh my goodness, you guys are up so late. Okay, if you could answer the question today about the extra modules, how does the DMP work? Do you put in a motion that you want to release or that one that you want to gain? Yes, that's a very, very good question. So let's see if we can go to the DMP and talk about what in the world is the DMP. All right, so let's be here first. Then we're going to go up to the navigation bar, which is right up here. And we're going to go to extra modules. So if you're following along on your own device, you're going to see 3 choices: the DMP, dynamic mirroring phase, synergistics, or the response assessment. So here we're doing the dynamic mirroring phase. So it's not going to let me go in because I haven't put anything into the other trays. So let's do some scanning and talk a little bit about these. The dynamic mirroring phase is a way that you can alternate different areas while you're balancing. So let's do something from the biofield, like the chakras. And let's see. Now, do you guys know about this? I forget who told me about this the other day, but I didn't even remember hearing it from Ryan, so it was new. So you take the biofield, let's see if it works, and then you just pull down biofield here, and if you look at the bottom here, actually 4 items have now appeared in here. So did you guys know that that was the case? That you can take these top items and place them in your main hold tray? So let's try that again. Pop this open and just clear it. And let's go ahead and go to biofield again, and we drag, see these here, these are the top items that came out of biofield, and let's actually take this and drag it down here. Now we've got the 4 items down there. Then we can actually take the items that were at the top. Well, this one isn't really accurate. Let's do something else. Let's do like Bach flower remedies or something. So let's do the Bach flower essences, and I'll show you what the this used to be called the multi-element phase, and it's now called the dynamic mirroring process, the DMP. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. So is it here? Okay, so now let's take mind and bring it, I should bring it up here. You can see 6 items have appeared up here, and we can look at those. So mind, white chestnut, mimulus, honeysuckle, centauri, and impatience. Okay, beautiful. We just simply want 2 different things, 2 different topics to work with. So we've got the mind issue stuff up here, and then we've got the chakra, spiritual stuff down here. That's perfect. The whole thing with the DMP, the dynamic mirroring process, is to allow us to alternate between 2 different topics back and forth. So let's go back to the dynamic mirroring in here, in the extra modules, and there we go. And so the joy. Now, it does say the emotion to focus on. So, Gabrielle, to your question, I would just play with the language here. So, release rage, or free of rage, or focusing on joy and happiness. So I do agree with you, sort of based on what you said. It is sort of that you were focusing on probably enhancing whatever it is. So we don't really want to put in here rage. We would probably experience more rage. So release rage, or let go of rage, or joy and happiness, those would all be good things to do. I hope that helps. And I know that was the crux of your question, but let's just go into this a little bit. What's going to happen here is, and we almost needed to set this. This is why this is so confusing. I don't think it's the greatest setup ever. We have to go here and change our minutes because we want to probably do it in 1 or 2 minute cycles. So let's do 1 minute, and then we can do 1 minute here. And then we have to go back into it. So, you know, Ryan wanted this to be away from the face of the program because so it looked cleaner, but I just don't think he achieved the functionality that we had with this in the Infinity. So let's just put joy in here, and if you feel the same way, go ahead and email him, let him know that. Now we probably want to pick an even number here, so let's just say 14, and now what's going to happen is it's going to alternate between the flower essences for 1 minute. It's going to balance those, then it's going to jump down to 1 minute balancing things of a spiritual nature like the chakras, then it's going to go back and it's going to balance the flower essences again. What this does is it allows us to alternate between these 2 areas in a way that tends to break up resistance, rigidity, and enhance adaptation within the energy field. It's a very, very interesting. It was better when it was called the multi-element phase, but be that as it may, this is dynamic mirroring phase. It is pretty dynamic to go back and forth. So then when we begin this, it doesn't really show us. Before it used to show us which trays it was balancing in, and that also would have been super awesome. But it is balancing for 1 minute on the biofield stuff and then 1 minute on the flower essence stuff. So again, if you want to let the developer know that it would have been better the other way, then go ahead and send your feedback. Other than that, it works perfectly fine, and this will be incorporating emotions, which was not incorporated in the previous version of the multi-element phase. So all good, all is well. Okay, so Gabrielle, thus your question, very, very good question. I love it. Karen from Australia says, how do I delete an item from a custom panel? I do believe I got a message from Ryan that says this is going to be done very, very soon. So at this point, there's no way to delete any of these items from the custom panel. We have to wait. So we're going to be able to delete an entire category and then also an individual item. At this time, neither of those functionalities are in place. I hope that's somehow helpful to know that it's coming. We got a question from Don. Don says, how often is too much or too little to use the Genius Insight app? So again, going back to the first question that I answered, Don, and you did get entered here into our raffle, good question. It's all about momentum. So is it going to be helpful if you exercise once in the beginning of the year on January 1st, but then never exercise again until 2018? Probably it's not going to work. So you want momentum. Balancing and biofeedback is all about momentum. It's not typically a one-time treatment, it's repetition. So the more repetition you get sort of close enough together, the more tendency that there is to move the needle and really make a difference. So that said, balancing 3 times a week is really good if you're doing it yourself, or twice a week if you're in a clinical setting, at a minimum for the first few weeks. And then it really does take 72 hours to really balance, to really assimilate the frequencies, but you could potentially balance yourself every day, and some people really, really like that and enjoy that. All right, Annette says, how do we get the love stem or saturations of frequencies? Saturation of frequencies, I'm not sure what saturation of frequencies is, Annette, so not really sure what that is that you're talking about. But there is no love stem. The love stem does not play on the Genius. I get the love stem on the Infinity, but never higher than 55 rectification on the Genius. That's going to be a Ryan question. I'm not sure what his thoughts were about total rectification. It really becomes more of a qualitative than a quantitative thing. You know, with 9 to 12 minutes of balancing, that's really enough for a complete session. So I don't think he really brought that through to its logical conclusion about what the percentage should be, but I wouldn't rely so much on that percentage anymore. Okay, Orlando, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thanks everybody for your questions. Surya says, when running the frequencies on the Genius and also using the water harmonizer at the same time, can both sounds happen at the same time? You know, interesting question, Surya. I don't know the exact answer. We did get a new water harmonizer. I have it on my phone. I'm not sure I've downloaded it here yet. This is the old version, and it's really, really nice because Ryan took the timer off of it. This is the old version. If you have the new version, it will just run infinitely, which is super fantastically awesome. And everybody can get the new version just by going to the website and looking for the download link. So as long as you've purchased it, you can download the water harmonizer and it will work. It's been activated for you and it will continue to run. I don't think it's going to matter if you run both of the frequencies together. I believe that, I'm trying to remember, these are very coherent tones that are running during the water harmonizer, so they're sort of like chanting Om, and I don't think there would be any problem in running them together. And I'm trying to figure out if you could turn the sound off for the water harmonizer, but I don't know where that setting would be. So that's an interesting question about turning the sound off on the water harmonizer, but I don't really see any problem with running the frequencies for both. And certainly if the tones are off, you're still getting the energy of the program. You know, I'm really going to have to think about that. And I am putting your name in. Everybody's asked a question. If your question's been asked, I've entered you in for the raffle, and Leah, my assistant, is going to help me at the end of class today. Okay, Gabrielle says, some of my clients get really tired immediately. Then Gabrielle, every practitioner has a type of client that is magnetized or comes to them, even though they're very different people. So your folks may be more sensitive to energy than other people. If they get tired, then as I advised Dr. Picard, you need to go slower. So you need to do fewer frequencies, fewer minutes for each person. So you need to adjust accordingly. You mentioned before that it is better to use earphones, but can you send the waves to a perfect in the distance? Yes, there are specific frequencies like the Schumann resonance that have been programmed into the Genius that make it possible to run a long distance session. As you heard Elise's comment in the beginning, she absolutely experienced the frequencies long distance, as many people do. So the binaural beat technology is not really going to work long distance unless they listen through stereo headphones. But other than that, you can send all of the frequencies long distance. And Orlando, I'm entering you into our raffle for today. Annette says, what is atmospheric stress evaluation in the functional zones? I do not know the answer to that question because Ryan has not shared that information with me. Although if we asked him, he'd probably say it's stuff in the atmosphere around you causing you stress, like air pollution or the suspicious sprayings in the sky. But we'd have to check with him directly. And David is, in fact, from France, not from Quebec, Canada. Okay, good. Love it. Fran says, what is the best way to use the Genius on a 12-year-old cat with jaundice? Very, very interesting question, Fran. I'm getting you entered here. A 12-year-old cat with jaundice. Well, jaundice has to do with the liver. You know, there's certain things that you certainly can do for every single person that you're working with, or, you know, kitty cat or dog. One of my dogs, I think, is on here. There's my dog, Max. So he's on there, and we upload a picture of him. Probably he's not going to bark, but we can just upload his picture. So with jaundice, you have to sort of know what is, you know, causing the jaundice. Is that a virus? But there are basic things, Fran, that you can do that are good for everything. So like doing the body systems, that's really, really good as an overall for everybody. So, you know, do the body systems for your cat. Then you may learn more about what's going on. And then what you do is, if you don't want to work with the quick zap tray, you can just pull these items in red. Remember, red and blue. Red and blue is what you do here. So red and blue, circulatory, nervous system, all good. And then another good one is today's stress. So you sort of learn about what's going on with them, why the jaundice might be there. What does the jaundice affect? It affects the liver. So we want to see if we can get the liver in there. So we've got cardiovascular and fungus, adrenal. Here's the liver. So this is, you know, definitely we'd want to focus on balancing with the liver. So that's one that here it's not really out of balance, but that is one that you could take up to the quick zap tray maybe for 5 minutes and just focus on the liver. That's a really good use of the quick zap tray. And you might want to, from liver, you might want to go into the entangled insights. That was so weird. I guess that was the liver meridian. What happened there? I'm trying to figure this out. That is so weird. That should not be going a level deep into the liver meridian. Maybe Ryan added that. We're going to have to find out what's going on here. I don't know why has anybody ever seen that in today's stress? When you tap on it, it goes into the meridian? That's actually not supposed to be happening. What about this one? No, it doesn't happen under kidneys. Oh gosh. Leah, if you're listening, do me a favor and make a note that I need to talk to Ryan about that. Liver meridian in body stress. That is so weird. But you know what? That's a great thing, actually, that it's doing that. That's really cool because you could go right deeper into that liver meridian. Let's go back to that. So yeah, that's really kind of interesting. So it's got all of the liver meridian stuff, so you can actually include that, which, by the way, that's a really good idea. Fran, anytime you include meridians, I mean, the meridian system is a little different from the organ system. Still, if it's jaundice, probably running the liver meridian would be very, very good. So I would suggest running the liver meridian. Kind of a really happy accident there. But I was going to say go into progressive insight. So that's really where I was trying to go. And you do that by swiping from left to right. And then we go in here and maybe you could try to find some flower essences that would help the liver. That would probably be a good use of progressive insights. And then include those in your balancing. Or you could check for an underlying virus in here. So these are some ideas to help with jaundice. You always want to sort of think about what's contributing to the particular condition. And I do have liver special custom libraries. I think you have those. So go ahead and make sure that you use those. So it's given us some Bach flower essences, always really, really good for animals. Really, really love working with flower essences. Very, very gentle energy medicine. So we'll include those, and those would be good to balance as well. So Fran, good question. I love it. Are you able to use the Quanta capsule, asks Janet, with the Genius? Yes, you are, Janet. And the Quanta capsule is fantastic. You can use it as many times as you want. It's a great way, even if you own the Genius and you use it on your iPad, you can't really use that another license unless you have one on your phone. So now you're without a device on your phone or software on your phone. You could just get the Quanta capsule on your phone and then send the frequencies to yourself, the ones you want to maybe balance today while you're out and about. So that's a great use of the Quanta capsule. So you could have that on your phone and you could send the frequencies there. Let's see if I can get both of those up at the same time. I don't know if it's showing both. Let's see. So the Quanta capsule is, let's see if I can do that. $49. You only need to buy it once, then you can use it as many times as you want to. And I'm afraid to ask this, but where is it in settings? I'm trying to figure out, does anybody know where you actually do the Genius, where you actually generate the Genius information? System overview, we don't want to do that. I know that they are working together, and I'm going to have to go find out where the export is. It should be up here in settings. So I'm a little bit confused as to why it's not. If anybody knows where it is, then let me know. But basically, what you do is you generate a code that will send this information over to here. Okay, so let's undo that and change the view so we have that. Karin says, are you adding the Archangel frequencies for sessions this Christmas season? Oh, that's interesting. Like, am I doing it for my clients for Christmas season? That's an interesting question. It's a great idea to use them. I love that. So add the Archangels in. I love it. Okay. Orlando says, you know, anytime you run the program, different responses come up for the app with the same client. So for consecutive treatment, do you need to lock the unit in a specific way? So Orlando, that is a really good question that has to do with dealing with energy medicine. So when you're dealing with energy medicine, what we're doing is every time we retest the person, it is going to change. That is the nature of this. In fact, every time that you test someone, you're changing their energy field just by virtue of running the test. So it's not going to be the same. That said, actually, when you run labs, like you run a lab TSH on Monday, run it on Wednesday, and then run it again on Thursday, you're very likely to have 3 different values of TSH or other types of lab work. So the best thing to do is to look at patterns, Orlando. That will not change. So as you look across the whole spectrum of things coming up for someone, you will tend to see that their immune system is strained, or that their adrenals are strained, or their hormones are out of balance. So biofeedback is a matter of looking at patterns. And we don't have to be so concerned about that this is going to be diagnostic or we're going to get a certain answer. We really want to focus on balancing. What are the results and what is the impact when we apply the frequencies to the person? Now, it's all well and good to investigate. It's really, really helpful, but ultimately focus on the results that you're getting from using the balancing frequencies. But great questions, you guys. Thank you for bringing it today, because these are just super fantastic questions. Ginger says, I've used the Genius for gallbladder pain a few times. I haven't seen any stones yet, but the pain goes away and regular digestion resumes. And Ginger, you might remember from the class a couple of years ago, we had such a great participant, if you guys remember, Angela. And Angela did this session with the Infinity at the time, and she did all of these gallbladder frequencies for my gallbladder, and I think it was for my liver panels, and she literally had stones come out from doing that balancing with the liver panels. It was so cool. It was so great. Joanne says, hi, Dr. Ariel. The food sensitivities when scanned may come up as very high, which may be the same foods that are beneficial for my blood type. What is the difference? Joanne, you have to make the call yourself. There are so many reasons why a food could be coming up. And yes, Leah raised a great point, you guys. Maybe you guys can send this to Ryan. He gets a little tired of getting all this feedback from me. This should definitely be called sensitivities and not food sensitivities, right? It was called sensitivities in the Infinity, so I think it should definitely be changed back and called sensitivities, because things like, you know, animal fur and stuff like that are not really foods. And I don't eat cat, and I hope you don't eat cats either. Kind of a weird thing to have in a food sensitivities panel. So either the those domesticated animals and issues need to come out, or we need to call it just sensitivities. That said, going back to Joanne. So look, Joanne, if let's just say, I'm trying to think of one that might have come up on blood tests that might be good. You know, these are really common food allergies. They don't tend to be really great for anybody. But let's just say cheese. Let's say cheese is technically good for your blood type, but it comes up here. So, I mean, you're the ultimate decider, you know, if what is, and the patient is as well. Right now, cheese is not benefiting. So a couple of things. Could be the kind of cheese. Could be that, you know, it's not organic cheese. It could be that the cheese, you've just eaten it too many times this month, and that's stressing out the body. Maybe it's not expressly an allergy, but it's affecting your liver in a certain way. Or it's the time of year. Like cheese is not great to eat in the middle of the winter because it's a very cooling food. So, you know, you have to really think about it. You know, the Genius is going to answer everything, taking everything into account from the most holistic vantage point possible. Food sensitivities are going to be checking one thing. It might check immunoglobulin G, right? IgG. It might check immunoglobulin E. It might do some other aspect, but it's going to be pretty one-dimensional in its check, whereas energy medicine is able to penetrate through all of that and give us check lots of information. Okay, good question, Joanne. To complete the question about pain reduction, isn't it a good strategy to use the pain items in the cross analysis? Sure. I don't know which ones you're talking about. Is there a group under P for pain? If it is, I'm not familiar with that. But good question, David. And Dr. Picard says, so how would you treat a pet or a person somewhere out of your area? Obviously, they wouldn't have headphones. Do you just play the frequency and assume that the pet or the person gets the energy? So yeah, I mean, you can you can do it all types of ways, Dr. Picard. You can, number one, if you have a client there, you can have them listen on headphones or just listen to the frequencies through their computer or their phone. Number two, you can play the frequencies for them. They're receiving it whether they hear it or not. So they are getting the frequency. It's like Reiki. When you send Reiki, they don't need to hear it. They don't even need to know what time you sent it. they are receiving those frequencies. And I have seen pretty profound changes. And every once in a while I put on the newsletter that I'm sending free frequencies to people, and they can just send me their name, date of birth, and a picture. And you'd be amazed at how people really do experience changes during the times that I send them energy. So what I would recommend is research, 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 and experiment. Get 2 or 3 people that are not even your clients, friends, relatives, and tell them you're going to be sending them frequencies. And then afterwards, tell them when you send the frequencies, and maybe do a little blind research. So, ask them if they felt any changes, maybe ask them what time they felt the changes. And that's how you begin to learn. You will be amazed at how effective this can be long distance. So it is pretty mind-blowing. Okay. Wonderful that that would have been my next question. Wonderful, really great to use. I think that was about the dynamic mirroring, the DMP. Saturation, all the body will absorb at this time. Yeah, I don't know if Ryan, did Ryan say that 85% of the left stem was basically representing all that would be you could use at this time? I'm going to have to go talk to him about saturation and send him a question about that and ask him what his idea was around the percentage. I don't know. I was working with a man, oh, I know you sent me this, Susan, I'm so sorry, I've had family in this week. I am working with a man that has advanced stage prostate cancer, was metastasized to his bone, and now got word today it went to his lungs. Having some significant struggles and has chosen to go the chemo radiation route, even though causing red blood cells not to form. Okay, this is really pretty long, Susan, for our class, and I do appreciate it. Let me just see if I can cut to the chase. I'm trying to figure out if there's a low value that should be read the same, or does it have low likelihood? What percentage do we consider it a possible trigger? Okay, let me just try to explain the numbers again. So I'm very, very sorry to hear about your patient. Let's just say that we were in, let's go to this libraries. This is the one we're giving away today. And Susan, I'm pretty sure you have these. I'm sure you have your own really, really awesome ones too. Let's just do the cancer ones. So really, Susan, what I get is she's asking about the numbers, highs and lows. Right now we're really going by the color. Let's go ahead and see if we can test these really, really fast. We have to go all the way back. Then we have to go back in. So I probably added it to the other client down here. Skip, skip. All right, so let's see if we can do this. Just to talk about the numbers, we're going more with reds and blues just to simplify things. So for you, what you'd want to do is, let's see if we have anything that's good here. Here's the digestive panel. Let's do this one. So for him in particular, what you'd want to do is go down to the lower ones. And probably, maybe even run them at a higher intensity. So you're going to have to make the call on that. Is intensity going to help him, or is he too deficient, it's going to hurt him? I would leave that up to you, but I would use these low ones going on for him, and then I would go up to the frequency, shape, and form, and probably put it on 50, and, I'm not sure if I would do sine square or sawtooth. Maybe I'd just do alternating. I'd do the archetype encoding for sure. I'd probably add in some emotions, but I would use the lowest numbers. I'm not sure if I answered the question. At what percentage do we consider it a possible trigger? I'm trying to figure out if there's a low value that should be read the same. I'm not sure I understand the question, Susan. We may need to talk about it, and perhaps it could be a teaching point that I could come back to, but pretty long, hard for me to read all of that at one time. So we'll have to take it up by email, and I apologize for not getting back to you sooner. If we don't rely on the percentage, how can we know when to stop balancing or when to continue? So again, let me reiterate what I've said in the past, that probably a 12-minute session is enough, because the new frequencies that Ryan has created are very, very effective, especially when you put them into progressive insights and it prioritizes the frequency that you need. You really don't need longer than a 12 or at the most an 18-minute balancing session at any one time. Jeff, hey Jeff. Jeff, welcome, and we're getting to the end here, so we'll do our drawing shortly. Is there a way to save a session and replay it? For example, if I put items in the RX tray to help with sleep or hypertension, could I go back and run them again without having to set it up again? That is a very, very interesting question for functionality that we do not currently have. I don't know that we'd be getting that. Run frequencies easily over and over. Jeff, is simply stated, the answer is today we do not have that functionality, but it's a great suggestion to send to the developer. So that would be rw@quantumhealthapps.com. So tell the developer that what you really, really need, and he does listen to the suggestions, is you need a quick way to be able to save the frequencies that you've done and pop them all back into the main hold tray. That said, Jeff, I can almost hear him in my mind. I know what he would already say. He would say the biofeedback is extremely dynamic, and the best thing that you can do for yourself is not to run the same frequencies. In fact, you want to test yourself after running the frequencies because biofeedback is peeling the layer. And you want to find out at this moment which are the frequencies, which is the energy that you really need today at this moment given your energy field. So definitely would send him the suggestion, but I think there's going to be a little bit of pushback only because the idea of biofeedback is one of dynamic change, of constant evolution of the energy field. Are the clients tired or just going into the sympathetic, parasympathetic relaxation state? Sherry, good call. And that is in response to Gabrielle saying, are they really tired or are they just finally starting to wind down? Certainly, Gabrielle probably perceives them as tired. However, I do think that that is a very, very good question. Knowing how to sort out that information, knowing how to recognize when somebody is tired, but when they have finally experienced a change in their energy, which is causing them even to get sleepy, that actually could be a good progression because they came out of their very reactive state and they're finally going into a state of parasympathetic activity. So good call. I like it. I like it, Sherry. Good, good call. Beata says, how many times is too many if there are such issues to balance at one time? Also, after running the test, do I need to balance the items in red or should I only balance the ones in yellow? Or should I also balance the ones in yellow? I'm sorry, I read it wrong and I was super confused. Let me read it again. How many items is too many? There is not a too many. There are some times when I'm using a lot. If there's, I would have no problem in including all of these because I know that it's actually better. If I put more in, it's going to get sorted when I go into progressive insights, which is going to be fabulous. So I'm actually giving myself more opportunity to find out of all of these things in our initial testing when we go here, which are the ones that are really, really percolating to that top, which here it says nothing, which is good. We did a little bit of balancing before. It may have been effective. So here, leaky gut sort of is the star of the show. But now when we're balancing, even though we have so many in here, there's only a few that are really getting the top priority in balancing. So Beata, go for it. You can put a lot of things into that main hold tray and then sort it out when you get into progressive insights. I hope that that's helpful. I like to balance the ones that are in red and the ones that are in blue. There's really no reason to balance the ones in yellow unless you sort of have a gut feeling about it. So for example, 599 is sort of borderline, and yellow generally is sort of approaching imbalance. But if you don't feel alkalizing needs to be in there, don't include the yellow ones. If you look at them and you say, oh yeah, I think they're really, really acidic, then go ahead and include them. There's nothing wrong with, it's better in this case, better to include it and then to not include it, because maybe alkalizing the system is something important. Let's reshuffle them and see where alkalizing the system lands. And remember, research, research, research. So it did end up as a high priority. Research, research, research. Keep trying new things. Biofeedback is very dynamic. It's very malleable to your personality as a practitioner. it can become like a live entity evolving with you as the practitioner. So see it as such. There are no rules. I'm really just giving you guidance based on my experience in biofeedback for, going on, 4 years of doing this. And so I like to give you my perspective, things that I know directly from Ryan that I can share with you. But ultimately, it's going to be you and what you're observing, and you can even bring information back to us and tell us what you're seeing, which is really, really helpful. I'm still trying to find people that I can interview. If you would be willing to do a sort of a mini podcast with me about your practice and how you're using biofeedback, then what I do is I sort of like, make a copy that you can use in your practice. So Beata, you might be perfect for this. You usually seem to be up for really cool stuff. So, if you're willing to talk to me for 20 minutes about what you do in biofeedback, we can get a copy to you that you can use in your marketing. So we really just want to talk to people who are using this and find out how they're using it and what results they're getting. And Sherry says, if clients are tired in a session, perhaps it'd be helpful to give them a boost with vitamins, minerals, aminos. She means energetically, and do some clearing in the lymph to build them before delivering the frequencies. Good information. Sherry's a very experienced biofeedback practitioner, so I love the suggestions. What would you balance for muscle weakness caused by taking Lipitor for cholesterol? My sister took it for years until I took her off it. She falls often. Oh gosh, we have so many more questions. We only have a few minutes left. Let me just name some. I'm not really going to be able to show you. Janie, you want to look at liver, you want to look at lymphatics, you want to look at body systems, you want to look at today's stress. We do have a cholesterol assessment in the custom libraries, so you could always avail yourself to that. Yeah, I would probably just do those systems in a big way and maybe find a flower essence that might help her, some vitamins, some minerals, conversion of cholesterol. You might want to balance her thyroid. Those are some things that come to mind. You can certainly work on this musculoskeletal system through there, through the genius panels, and maybe run some solfeggios for her. Are progressive insights the same as entangled insights? Good question, Leah. I love it. No, they're not. Progressive insights, totally different from entangled insights. And if you go back and you look at the training program, it will explain them separately. I would go back and look at the 15 video training program. Okay, so thank you, David. He says that it's in accessories. The Quanta capsule is in accessories. Thank you. Oh my goodness. So if we have the Quanta capsule here, do we tap on it? How does one use it though? How do you generate the code? So I'm curious, David, if you know that. Because from Quanta capsule we should be able to tap on something and actually experience what's going on. Okay, I'm going to cut it here. It's 4:58. So Leah, I need you to choose a number from our random number baskets. Leah's going to choose our winners between 1 and 19. We're going to use a random number generator, and she's going to generate the numbers between 1 and 19. And I have a list of people here between 1 and 19. So let's go ahead and I'll show the list afterwards so you can see that it's all on the up and up, and I've put everybody on the list here who asked a question either before we started or during the class, and next week I'm going to try to just include everyone who's asked a question before, but I'll probably be flexible, so if you want to get your questions in before, that's great. If not, we'll just go from there. So we're going to give away, let's start with the third prize first. They're really all totally equal. It doesn't even matter. But let's give away the pain reduction class, and you'll get the pain reduction custom libraries. So let me see if I can unmute Leah here. And Leah, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Leah is my fantastic assistant, and you guys might be, she might be reaching out to you if you have a question that you've emailed me about or called. So just know that Leah might be contacting you, and I really, really do appreciate everything that you're doing, Leah, so thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So what is our first number today?
Our first number is number 6.
Okay, number 6, and that's Elise. So Elise, you have won the pain reduction class. It's a 4-part class, so 4 one-hour lectures about different aspects of pain, how the brain is changed with pain, what chemicals are generated by the brain when you're in a lot of pain, and all of those are included in the pain custom libraries. So I'll be exporting those to you to use in your balancing, and then you'll get access to the class. So pretty cool webinar about balancing all aspects of the musculoskeletal system, and that is so perfect because she literally asked about the pain balancing today, so couldn't be more perfect. I love it. Okay, the next one is going to be the hormonal balancing, which is hormones, digestion, thyroid, and adrenals. And what is our second number for today?
19.
Number 19, Beata, that's you. So you're going to get the class, the 4-part class. I think one of my best classes that I've done because it covers so much important material that can make a profound shift in people's lives. It has to do with digestion, balancing the digestive system, including alkalizing and enzymes and all of that, and hormonal balance, how the thyroid works, and reverse T3, T4 conversion to T3 by the liver. All of that goodness is explained really, really simply, even if you've never had a physiology class. And then the last part is adrenals, and I talk about the adrenals, and then you get all of those custom libraries. So if you already have those custom libraries, Beata, then certainly let me know and we'll get you some alternatives. So I know you've gotten a lot of the libraries and I appreciate it. The final winner, and thanks you guys so much for participating today and being in the raffle. All you have to do to be part of the raffle next week, and I'm going to give away different classes and different custom libraries, is just send me a question. Let's make this really, really exciting for the last couple of weeks of December. I love the fact that you guys are coming to class, so just go to Ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, send me a question for next week, and we'll just have this really fantastic, rich discussion like we did today. I loved all of your questions. So drum roll here. Leah, what is the final number so we can give away cancer care and prevention?
Lucky number 5.
Number 5 is David. David from France. David, thank you so much for your questions. So David, you've got the cancer care and prevention, the 4 classes that go with that, and then all of the custom libraries that I've created for balancing people who have cancer or want to prevent cancer. So what we'll be doing is that both myself and Leah will be arranging for you to have access to those classes. So you will either receive an email from Ariel at Awaken Total Health or Leah at Awaken Total Health, and we will get you access, and we'll also be exporting the custom libraries to you, and we'll be sending you an email about that. So Leah, thank you for your awesome drawing skills. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so just want to mute Leah again. Thanks, Leah. So, all right, you guys, I just want to wrap up here. I want to wish everybody a really happy holiday because it's coming up really, really fast. And I'm just trying to remember where we are for next week. I will be here next week. Let me just see what the day is because let's see, that's the 26th, right? So Monday is the 26th, so it's not actually Christmas Day. So we'll definitely be here next Monday. I want to wish you all Merry Christmas if you're celebrating that, or a happy holiday. And if you have any questions, I'm around this week, so check in with me. Things are a little bit slower, so if we haven't been able to talk, this week would be great. I do appreciate all of your referrals. So if you have referrals, remember we have a $99 down special. So if somebody's been waiting to purchase, get them in touch with me immediately. Remember, I always put the best packages together for them, but we honor everything that is advertised on the Quantum Health app's website or the specials. I will have a newsletter for you tomorrow morning that will include some interesting information that you'll definitely want to know about biofeedback and the genius, as well as some special offers. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Have a great holiday. Thank you again, everyone.